Hi, I'm Peter from RADiCAL. Today, I'm going to show you our asset tools and how easy it is to build your scenes with or without your own custom assets. Let's get into it. To start with, this is just one of my templates that's available. Here, I've got some environmental details and some sky details, but I'd like to add a few extra things here. By opening up the Asset tab, I have a huge range of assets available to me. You can use any and all of these within your projects with no limitations. So if, for instance, I wanted to bring in a watercraft, perhaps like this canoe, I can just do that very easily. Oh, it's actually a rusted old boat, fair enough. The sizing is a bit off. So what I can do is I can just adjust the scale and put this down to, let's just say 0.25. Much more fitting, much more to size. Perfect. In fact, actually, I'm going to move that probably a little bit closer here. There you go. Now it looks like it's beached. So across here is a tag bar or a search bar. So if I was to just clear that and search whatever chairs, everything that's tagged chair will appear here. And likewise, if I search case, there's just my one case item there. So these are great, but if you wanted to bring in your own assets, how can you do that? So there's two ways to bring in external assets. There's your own upload and then through import. So if I was to upload, you can drag and drop a 3D asset here, or you can search through your file explorer. We take them in GLB, FBX and OBJ format, and we have them up to 300 megabytes per asset. If for whatever reason you need assets to be a bit more sized, you can just let us know and we can see what we can do. By dragging this over into my scene, there's my lighthouse. It's got some rough scales and sizing. I can adjust that later. And import now. So now that it's been uploaded, there's my asset and I can just simply drag it in. It is quite big and I do not need it to be that big. So I'm going to drop this down to actually 0.15, 0.1. Oh God, even then it's still massive. 0.05. Much more suitable probably. And I'm just going to sort of position that up. Perfect, just like that. I can't take credit for the creation of this. This is come from Sketchfab through a direct download. And speaking of through Sketchfab, you can also directly search for assets on Sketchfab through our Sketchfab API directly within Canvas. So through the Sketchfab button, all you need to do is log in, create an account through Sketchfab and authenticate through there. You're now connected, you can close the window. So if you used to search for anything, so as I've got quite a tundrous scene, let's go with like an ice shaft, or like an icicle. Yeah, go with a nice sort of ice cluster. There you can see all the model information. This is pulled directly from Sketchfab, so the faces, the vertices, and you can also view the asset through Sketchfab directly. And then set to import. There you can see all the material, scale adjustment and the positioning, and there's also the terrains. In this case, this is actually from Warcraft, and I did not realize. So import now. And there's my asset. And I'm just going to simply drag this out and put this into my cliff. Perfect. And I've also got a set of controls up here, so I can clone and duplicate. it moves your assets to avoid sort of overcluttering the same spot. It just shifts them slightly over, which you can find. Perfect. And of course, because I've not adjusted the size, I can just bring out another one just like that. I'm going to make this one quite a bit smaller. So 0.35. Bring that closer. And there we go. I brought in a pre-provided scene, an asset, a imported asset, and directly search assets through Sketchfab. Of course, if I was to build my own models in, say, Blender or Maya or whatever tool, I could bring them in same way I did through the import button. There are other places you can get assets if you don't want to use Sketchfab, such as like CG Trader. If you're using something like Tinkercad, there is actually an import into RADiCAL button through there as well, which is quite useful. And of course, you can use something like Fab as well. It's important to know that all of these assets that I brought in, they are not just instantiated to this scene. I can bring them into whatever scene I want. They are connected to your RADiCAL account. So if I was to open them up into another project tab, they would come with me. So for instance, if I was to load up a completely separate scene here. So here we go. Here is a completely separate scene, nothing related to the tundra before. And if I go to the assets tab, well, there we go. I can just bring in a giant lighthouse, set the scale to 0.01, position it onto my coffee table. Oops, wrong one. And snap down, and there we go. I've now got a coffee table ornament. This also applies that if you were in a collaborative scene as well, other people could bring in their own custom assets from their own library and bring them into your scene. As they are from a separate person, they are not added to your account, so only they can bring them in. And that is it. That's how easy it is to bring in assets and build out a scene very quickly within Canvas. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.